forbidden by the SPTC to take the job permanently. I'm here for the church. I'm here for them, for us to get going and get stronger. And I appreciated him saying that, really did. And like I say, we met with his wife too, and he fulfilled that scripture where it says a good wife is from the Lord. And yeah, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say that because I know you'd hold it against her. But anyway, let me open us up in prayer, and then we'll do Q&A. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for the Spirit and that obvious presence in Dave Carroll here. And thank you for someone who has the humility to know he's here for you. He's here for this church. He's here for serving however he can in helping us become what you want us to be. So, Lord, I just pray that you will bless the church members, my brothers and sisters here as they ask their questions. Just give them eyes to see and ears to hear his heart as we consider him as one of the candidates for possible being our revitalization interim pastor. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Hey, what you got? How about this? What if I just tell you a few basics about who I am and where I've come, and then I'll exit my preacherness. I won't talk too much, but I'll just give you the Reader's Digest version. How does that sound? They're all right? You all look wonderful today, by the way. Man, just outstanding. So, yeah, like I told you, I've been married 20 years to Amy. I came to Christ at 6 years old, answered God's call to vocational ministry at the age of 18. Shortly thereafter, found myself as the student minister at a church of over 1,000 people at 18 years old. I don't know what they were thinking, but they hired me, and I didn't even apply. When I had moved back from Florida State back to Miami, and Tallahassee to Miami, they just said, hey, we need somebody. Will you fill in for us and do it? And so I spent about a year helping that way. And I haven't looked back. I have the college grades to prove that I did full-time ministry all through college because my grades were awful, I promise. Got my master's degree, Master of Divinity, from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. I did that while I worked full-time. I did not go to school full-time. I actually drove every Monday 3 hours to get there, and I got home at midnight every Monday. And then I did my schoolwork, I did my church work, my job, and had 2 young kids through most of my seminary experience. And I'm sure that it took years off my life. I'm confident of that. A lot of my experience, at least the past 17 of 24 years in ministry, has been more in the church planting arena, where we've started with small groups of people and grown. I've helped with 3 church plants last 17 years. One as a key leader on the leadership team, one I was on the executive team, the number 3 person, and this last one I planted as the lead pastor in Montana. And all 3 churches right now, their current attendance combined is 2,800 people combined. And they're reaching people for Jesus, and all of them are healthy. And so we just want to come. I've had every position under the sun in about every size church, 0 to 1,300, whether it's kids ministry, hiring, firing, the business side, the preaching side, the groups side, discipleship side, the evangelism side, the student ministry side, college. I think I've started a few college groups, worship leader, all those things. So kind of come, and that you may say, well, does that make you a know-it-all? No, but probably what it does is it just gives me the ability to practically support team leaders and people who serve and know what I kind of view it a different way. Not that everybody has to do it my way, but I know what people are going through, and I know what I'm asking when I ask someone. It's something that I have physically done before. I've done portable church. I mean, you name it, all of it. I serve in the parking lot team where my family goes to church in Keller. So I go out and I drive a golf cart every Sunday. That's my job. So I mean, when I tell you I'll do it all, like I've done about it all. So I'm here. If I don't know if the Lord is in this for you or not, but if we can add value and be valuable to God's kingdom here at the Lakes Church, we would certainly be open to helping if it makes good sense for you. So, by nature, I am I definitely am a forward thinker. I'm short. Interpersonally, I'm a teddy bear, y'all. I'm for real. I am not, I hardly have a mean mode in my body, but where I will make folks uncomfortable is, I remember number 5 in my 7 points to get it and keep it today, spirit-filled faith. I will ask us to do things that may make everybody say, oh, really? But not because, they're not always financial either, or that, but they're just, when God makes it clear what the right moves are. I may just say, hey, I may not like everything about it either, but, we got to try to do it. That's so really more of, if you're wondering, hey, what kind of pressure do you put? It's really not interpersonal pressure. If there's a problem or issue, I'm more than happy to listen to anyone, really. I really will. And even talk and even say I'm wrong if I'm wrong. What's the big deal? You say, guess what? I was wrong. Okay, look at that. And then you move on and you apologize and do it right. So very practical that way. That's a little bit about me. My family, you may ask, I'll just answer this question ahead of time and I'll be done. You may say, is your family coming with you? Right now, we've just endured a ton of change. We moved from Montana. I ripped my high schoolers out of their high school. They live in Hearst. They're trying to reorient life. I would say this, I would walk day by day, week by week, month by month. If my family can add a lot of value, they really can. All 6 of us have something to add to the church. Even my 8-year-old and 10-year-old know quite a bit more about church than the average because they had to help us start a church. And my high schoolers probably know more than I do about it. Sometimes I'd drive home playing in church in Montana. My oldest, Aiden, would look at me and go, Dad, that wasn't very good today. I would have done it this way. And I looked at him and went, shut up, kid. I'm like, come on. No. Wait a second. You're right. That wasn't very good, and I do need to change that. So they can add value, but I would have to just see how it would work as they relationally settle. Their willingness to uproot again, to come do it for something that is an interim season that could last anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, right? And then they would, they'd be committing to uproot. And so there's not a lot of tension in my house over it, but I would just personally, as the family leader, I'll just walk, let's not even say slow, let's just say intentionally there and see about their openness. Now, that said, it's not like they would never show up, but how often I would probably work with that. And I know that on big days where it really matters to the church, you can bet that they'll be here helping contribute. And so that's what I have to say, and I'm happy to field any question under the sun that you have. It doesn't matter. I'll just tell you first. I actually am partially blind in my right eye from the eye bleed, and so sorry I saw you because I had to look. Yeah.
Yes, we know you've done a lot of church planning and everything.
Sure.
What, at this time, do you believe, why is God leading you from church planning to revitalization? Why do you believe that?
Well, that's a great question. For one, I would tell you my perspective is not quite as parsed out as the average person. I just see it all as God's kingdom and a chance to grow it and see it happen. I mean, what you're starting with or what you're not starting with is irrelevant to me. So I kind of see them all as one and the same, just one. And church planting, it did not exist before you got there. And revitalization, there's a lot of things that do exist and a lot of good things that you do have to work with. You're not ever going to be stressed out that you have nowhere to meet. I had that moment, going, gee, if I don't sign this lease, there's nowhere to meet in about a month, So there's a lot of blessing. And then, you have mature believers here. I'm quite certain that there are some amazing people sitting in this room to unleash for the kingdom. So to be honest, I initiated my move out of Montana not knowing where I would be going. It was purely out of health and pain. 10 months out of the year, I was in utter just pain in my eyes from the cold weather. And I thought, man, if I could even flip the script to 2 months of pain in 10 months, and that's about what's happened so far since I've been here. I've been here 6 months, had 1 month of issues and 5 months of no issues, and I will take that trade. I'm ready to rumble with that. That's great. Asking for a pain-free life. Everybody here knows that's foolish. So getting old's not for wimps, right? But not a single door opened. Being in Montana is like coming back from foreign missions. And God opened this SBTC door. I would have never dreamed in a million years that I'd be working for a denomination. More of a local church guy through and through and through and through and through. And so I'm more in a stage where I'm just open to what God has in front of me, and I'll do the work of ministry, whatever that is. And so revitalization, like as a term, I can't tell you I'm particularly drawn or not drawn to it, but what I am drawn as a local church guy is seeing the local church thrive. And if this is the place that I can add the most value and see it thrive, then hey, let's go. Let's do it. I mean, that's kind of where I come from. Yeah.
All right. My question is, when you talk about it, you say you have it, you lose it, and you get it back. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not talking about salvation, correct?
Oh, correct. Yeah. Talk about the power and the presence of God working in a church. But no, how we would teach it is if you lost it, we would say you never had it to begin with. There you go. That's a great question. I appreciate that. Yes, I believe that once you're saved, you're always saved. Yes. BF&M 2000. You just look at BF&M 2000. We're good. Super Bowl. I hope the Chiefs, but I think the Niners. Actually, I hope the Dolphins, but that's not going to happen. You do have a spirit. I have a heart for the Cowboys because I'm an avid Miami Hurricane fan, and we share Jimmy Johnson and Michael Irvin and others, which makes me Cowboys friendly. Let's just put it that way. Although I have been known to bash them from the pulpit a time or two, but that's a different story. That was more to just be contrarian and fun than it was. But Jimmy Johnson is my favorite coach all time, so we'll share that in common. My mom was a perfect season 1972 Dolphins cheerleader. That is my athletic heritage. Snicker. Anything else?
So Thank you very much. So what's your thought as far as moving forward, as far as reaching out, what process would you look at bringing more people into the church? What do you see going out in the future?
Yeah, I can tell you by nature, that's a great question. You're asking what kind of things do you think what could you envision us doing, or maybe even a little glimpse of the changes or things I'd see. Now, for one, I will say this. I don't know enough about the church to claim I know it all, this is exactly what we're doing. Although I did make some effort to walk around this morning, get a little glimpse, have seen a church or two in my life, and have an idea what I'm looking at. And I think that a lot of the win is going to be by reduction on Sunday morning, and really focusing on what is important and putting a great Sunday morning worship service on the map first and foremost above all else, even if it means other things stop for a season. And that sometimes can be painful, but here's the thing. I come very heavily from this bend. We know that Sunday morning isn't everything in the Christian life, right? But just about everything flows out of Sunday morning in the church, correct? I mean, look at any church that's doing all the things that you went, man, I wish that we were that effective. Even if we didn't look exactly like it, I wish we were that effective. You're going to find Sunday morning is thriving 99.99999% of the time, right? Every now and again there's an anomaly. So a lot of it is going to be learning to carve out all the things that are not Sunday morning related in the beginning, and then zero in on an excellent Sunday morning experience that expects new people, that where it looks like we expect new people, where we're prepared for them, where everything we talk to new people from the front. It's funny, churches who decide to intentionally talk to new people from the front and in everything they do usually get new people. right? And the ones that don't. Or they get a couple and then they go, where did you go? And you're grabbing them as they walk out the door saying, come back. And so a lot of my heartbeat will be lasering in on like a laser focus on what does it take to get Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m., which I think is an awesome time, by the way. What does it take to get that humming, like just humming? As a matter of fact, I'm crazy enough to believe, and I don't want to, man, I'll be on the edge here of over-promise and under-delivering, but you know what, that's me. I'm full of spirit-filled faith, right? I'm a risk taker, so I'll just put my own stuff out there. Why couldn't this church go into the summer north of 100 people or right about 100 people in worship attendance come May before everybody kind of summers out for the season? Why couldn't it happen? Why couldn't there be 150 people or more at Easter at church here? Why not? That would be my expectation, to be honest with you. But the thing is, to do that, it has to become the main thing, and really, to a degree, for a season, the only thing. Right? Where now, instead of meeting for prayer meeting on Saturday for a season, and I'm all for listen. Sometimes it makes it look like I might not be a Christian. I am. I love prayer. I love the Bible. I love everything. But what if for a season, instead of prayer breakfast or women's ministry, what if the whole church was getting together every other week or something, and we actually power washed the sidewalk so it looked like we wanted new people to come and look like I know you care, but we have to make it look like, you know what I'm saying? You have to make, and that's not a criticism. Don't be. Can I speak candid? I was just speaking candid. So, like, you know, now, like, the black slime on the sidewalk is, and I don't think it's the worst or nastiest. And man, this facility is incredible. It's beautiful. Certainly, the inside speaks very well to new people who walk in. But what if every part of the campus? What if we spent more time on a parking team out front? So, because you know what, people who've never been to church, if we want to reach lost people, most of them have either not been a long time, went to one that's boring and they remembered a certain way, or they've never been at all. And you know what their number one question is when they pull up in a parking lot? They go, what's going to happen to me when I get in there, and where do I even go? Do I go in the white double doors that are locked, or do I go in these brand new doors? For those of us who have been here, we know which doors it is. But if you've never been here before, and there's nobody to help you find it, and there's no sign telling you which one, and so instantly a new person went, gee, this might be for people who already know what's here, right? And so it's intensely practical in many, many ways. So if we were to reduce as much as possible to come back and do that, now let's say the church is 100, 150 people. Well, gee, now you can start to reemphasize one thing at a time. Maybe you start to put groups on the map. And by groups, I mean, you know, maybe it can be the women meet, the men meet, and we just lump it all together as groups, and we package it so that people know. Again, one of the bigger challenges at church, I'm getting a little ahead of the growth process here, but one of the reasons why you don't put so many things on the map anymore is, as church attenders, longtime church attenders, you tend to say, well, I know what I can and can't do, what I should and shouldn't do, and I know I'll be loved if I don't do this or if I do this. But a person who's new, when they see 50 things on a church, and you don't have them there yet, but sometimes they go, well, you want me to do all 3 things a week, every week? Well, guess what I'm going to give you? None of them. Because if I have to do them all to meet expectation, and even though you haven't said it, and you may not even mean that, that's what they perceive, right? Then they give you none because they go, that's just not possible for me. Sometimes, look, for some people, if you start reaching lost people, getting them to attend a small group one time every 3 months might be a gigantic win. They may have never done that in their life. Now, I know you say, is that, Dave, are you shallow? No, I'm not shallow. To me, a person who's never stepped foot in a church in their entire life, and they're 40 years old, have a family, 35 years old, have a family, 30 years old, 60 years old, have kids and grandkids, and they haven't stepped foot, and they start attending church even once a month, and they go to a small group for the first time. I don't know about you, but that's deep. It's not deep for me. It's not deep for you. But for them, they're going, They're going home, and you don't realize they close the door and go, I did it. They're going, I went to church, and I'm still alive. And guess what? And I wasn't bored. And wait, I may actually want to go back, right? So, you and I are going, oh, yeah, we went to church again. And they're going, oh, they're calling their mom, Mom, I went to church, and they're going, I've been praying for that for 50 years. We forget sometimes, right, what it's like. And so when it comes to those things, we want to zero in, but it all starts with an excellent Sunday morning that is very clear to new people, where we spend our time preparing. I've been talking with Josh, and in the past, he's been called up at Saturday night, before he's about to turn in for bed. He just told me, he joked about this morning, had a great attitude. By the way, don't you have a great staff? Can we appreciate them? He said, sometimes I'd be called and say, oh, hey, can you do this song as he's turning in to go to bed Saturday night? Listen, man, excellent. Where the teen needs to be spending their time? At this point, it's not in prayer, it's in perspiration. And planning out a month's worth of worship services, getting good at them, getting good graphics, getting good videos, talking to you and what God's doing in your life, and getting you on the platform sometimes so that people can hear what God's doing in people's lives, right? So we're planning, and that all starts with a zeroed-in focus on Sunday morning.
So let's say we go ahead and we get everything fixed up for Sunday morning. We present the wow factor for when people come in. They just love it. That's great, but we still have to get people in the church to see that.
Yep.
So thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. Number one, I have found what people are most thoroughly invested in, they are much better at inviting to, right? When you're out there serving in the parking lot, or you're checking in a kid downstairs and it's super obvious where check-in is, and you're doing this, you're going to be a little bit more, that they'll be greeted, right? That they'll be given a gift to say thank you for coming, that they'll get to meet someone after church. You know that if they come to Christ, they'll get followed up with, right? You're more likely to invite someone new because, let's be honest, sometimes churches get in the position where the number one reason, even though it's kind of unspoken and we don't want to feel this way, but it's the truth, sometimes we're embarrassed to invite a new person. We go, I don't know. So when we make it that way, now we go to step number 2, which is still zeroed in on the service. We're gonna work on our internet, our website presence. To me, this is almost like the book of Genesis and the book of inviting people to church. I don't know about you, but if you ask me to invite someone to church, and I'm not naturally like this great big, I am not Ray Comfort or Billy Graham. I need a little help along the way for my own personal boldness. And I have found that creating a nice-looking invite card with the church name, where it is, what time, a little map, what they'll find when they get there, and every single week we're saying, you know what? If you love this church, you're going to tell somebody about it. When you stop to the drive-thru at Starbucks, you're going to stop and you're going to hand a card and say, when you're at work and that person you've been meeting, it's so much easier to bring someone with you to church when there's a card in your hand, and I don't know why, because you have something to give them, and you just say, hey, would you come to church with me? You don't even have to know all that it means. Just when you come to church with me, you hand them a card, and you invite. And then if it's excellent, you start going, man, you start talking well about what God is doing. Hey, the service is awesome. Hey, we love what's happening in our kids' ministry. Hey, hey, why don't you come park? Do you know that we actually all clear out those who are physically able? If you're not physically able, you park really close. But if you're physically able, we all park, we save spots for you right at the front door. And you know where I parked today? I parked as far away as I possibly could, because that's what I do. You know why? Because I don't want to take a spot for somebody who's come to church for the first time, if I'm physically able. If you're not, well then by all means, do what you got to do. Or if you're a mom and you're 9 months, well then please, pull the car up on in here, and just watch. It's fine. But we want to be new people and lost people focused, and so those invite cards. will be a powerful tool. If we have to put some emphasis on the map, in other words, I believe we can have more people invited on one big day than even trying to drip it every single Sunday. So to put some teeth to the answer to your question, I would probably say we'd create a day where we're just going to call it an invite day a couple weeks before Easter. And we're going to ask people to invite as many people as possible. We'll probably set a goal. And it's not about whether we hit the goal, but it's just to, for us to get a picture of what it means to bring people. And then on that day, we're going to promote Easter, and we're going to ask the new people come to help invite people to Easter, right? And so we would probably start building some momentum, which momentum is simply one small win at a time. That's how you get momentum. It's a series of small wins. It's not a magic pill. So personal invitation, tools to do that, the internet to match. There's some things we need to do with the internet, with our sermons. The guys do a great job getting it recorded. What we got to do is shrink it down to where they get the message right when they get it, right when they get there, instead of having to wade through the music. The guest experience, the website needs to be shifted around a lot. Right now, like today, when I know that it scrolls, and I caught that, but when I happened to do the website, the first thing that I saw on the website was donate to make a payment, right? And so if you're a guest, that's just, now putting giving or tithing and stewardship is a big deal. But if I'm new, and the first thing I see is donate to make a payment, that just says, and and that's nothing on anyone, just so you know. I'm purely at this point diagnosing, if that makes sense. And I think, I think that the people that you have on staff and that you're getting more than your money's worth. I think these people care. I think we just need a little direction, to get that going. Because what do new people care about? Care about two or three things. They want to know where and when do I show up. They want to see the sermon, and they want to know what's going to happen to their kids. Maybe in varying orders of those three, depending upon the person, right? So if the front of your website doesn't cater to that, then you're losing people. And I know this, in Montana, 7,000 people came through the door. I talked to a lot, not everyone, obviously, not even close to everyone, but nearly every person that I talked to, I said, what was your first encounter with our church? Why did you decide to come? And the why they decided to come is they said, we watched the sermon, and we went online, watched the sermon, felt like it was something we could relate to, and then we looked to kids ministry, and then we looked and saw where and when it was, and we showed up. Okay? So to me, I used the term ecosystem to the team yesterday. There's a whole culture that has to be built around inviting. There's not one program, if that makes sense. So we got to fix the environment, the culture, then we have to give the tools, and then we have to put the strategy on the map to say, when do we want you to invite? Where do we want you to invite? Well, how are we going to prepare for that big day? And so that big day, things that we might not be able to do every single Sunday, we know that on the big day we invite, it's that old country song. I'm not as good as I once was, but I can be as good once as I ever was. Pardon me for saying that. So here we go. I told you, I'm past the point. I'm probably the most raw pastor that you could ever encounter. So, but I stop at sin. I don't want to sin. Great question. Did that thoroughly answer what you're talking about? Okay. Yeah.
So our small group was trying to come up with ways to help the church or bring in money or do events where people come in and see it and may want to come back. What is your take on having like a full-blown revival? Knowing that it takes 6 months to a year to plan because it's very extensive.
I'm not for or against those. I think that they can be useful tools, no question. I would tell you that my goal is for Sunday morning to be a revival every Sunday. And that's where I'm saying I would laser in the focus on Sunday morning, make Sunday morning excellent. That's why I'll tell you, I actually lost people in Montana because they said, well, when are we, we're 300 people now. Where's our Awana? And I went, it's never coming. And they went, never coming. I went, no, it's not. Because, well, why? Well, we were very slim resourced. Our serving system on Sunday required upwards of 100 and something people to serve each weekend by the time we got to 500-600, right? And I said, you know what'll happen? The day we put Awana, we'll get some of our best teachers who go on Wednesday night, and when we ask them to serve on Sunday morning, they're going to go, I already was with the kids. And you know what happens? I said, Awana can be good, but you know why it's good? Because churches point all their time and effort and resource in serving there. If they just do the same thing on Sunday morning, they'd find the same success only with people who are committed to their church. Maybe even more. And guess what? People will want to serve because they haven't already given a serve to the kids. And you know what ended up happening? Listen, we were doing monthly services, and I was starting to get a Awana question. By the time we launched weekly services, we routinely had people in the city calling us the top 2 or 3 kids ministries in the entire city. All because we said, no extras. Sunday morning is going to jam. People will come to what's good, whether it's on Wednesday night or Sunday morning. They will come. I mean, pick church X, Y, or Z and tell me I'm lying.
So we
When it's good on Sunday morning, they show up. Yeah.
Since we already have Awanas, would that be something that you would think of cutting? Focus more on Sundays?
I'm going to answer a bigger question than that. No, above all else, I'm here to serve you. I may come across strong at times, and when it comes to, like I said, spirit-filled faith, those kind of things. But at the end of the day, I am here to serve you. What I bring to the table is not my personal preference. It's from seeing literally hundreds and hundreds of churches across the nation. I see what helps them at this stage. I see what doesn't. It doesn't mean that I'm always right or that God can't use your specific, church makeup. I mean, God uses who he wants to use. And there are sometimes things defy the odds and do all that, and I'm all for it. So I don't have all the answers, but when it comes to those kind of things, I'll say this. Personally, I feel very strongly that it would be wise to direct all that effort and energy to help Amy on Sunday morning develop an awesome kids ministry. Is it my job to force that upon you? No. I'm an interim pastor, and the bottom line is you have to want it. If you say, Dave, that's just too far, then I'll just go to my knees in prayer and go, God, would you use it? Would you do one of two things? Will you just prove me dead wrong? I'd love to be wrong. I told you. I saw that resonated with you when I said, I'll stand and go, I was wrong. That's the best thing ever. I'll either pray that I'd be proved wrong or that somehow God moves us to do the other, and that either case it works. So I'm not necessarily anti-Awana, but I will tell you this. I think the program of Awana is incredible. There's a reason why it's so far-reaching. The challenge for a church like this is right now we're in the position where the only real win is a church-wide win. And see, the problem comes in where Awana, many times for a church, when you're struggling financially and you're shrinking a little bit, we're Americans. We like to win, right? We just do. And so if Awana is winning, we go, look, but Awana's winning. Woo, Awana. Well, then Awana wins, but generally speaking, Awana serves a bunch of people from other churches who are never coming here. And you put a lot of time and effort in it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't hear me say there's anything wrong with that. But naturally, what you've just done is stuck something on the map that is competing for we have, 50, 60 people of time, resource, and just bandwidth, right? And so we're taking a chunk of that bandwidth and we're devoting it to serving other churches, which I would love, listen, when a church gets up and healthy, bless as many churches as you can, however you can. Yes and amen. But right now, if you want this thing to be a turnaround church, it's saying we're going to take all the bandwidth that is available from these 60 people, and we're going to zero it in on the most important thing, and we're going to do that and that alone. And when God gives us more and starts to fill that bank account of resource, and not just finances, but of people and of time and of talent and all that, well, then we might be able to take a step and put something back on the map that is in the heart of this church and the unique makeup of this church. But so I love Awana. I have seen people benefit immensely from Awana. I think when you're trying to revitalize or see a church turn around, it is taking X amount of bandwidth that probably should be pointed at Sunday morning for excellence sake. Whether or not we do that, again, I'm here to unify and to help you grow and to help you to health. I'm not here to hack everyone off and see this thing go to 20 people and then the church forecloses, okay? So will I press and things that I see, I will press, but at the end of the day, if I see that I'm just going to be divisive, well, then you have my word. I'll just go. But just don't come back to me if it's not going where it's supposed to go. You know, you can come back to me, but I'm going to say, okay, well, I won't even say I told you so. I'll say, are you ready to do it now? I won't even say I told you so because I'm not that way. So that's my thoughts toward it. And hopefully when you understand why I think that, it's not about should I cut Awana, should I not cut Awana. It's the why is taking the available resources that God has given us and putting it towards the most important thing so that one day the church can blossom and put some of these things back on the map if it is indeed in the heartbeat of the church. You know, my hope, if you want to know my dream for this as an interim pastor, I would love come fall, sometime mid-late fall, where you're all saying, Dave, it's time for us to put a search team together and find us a godly family to come lead this thing and take it from here. I think it's possible. I mean, that's just 8 months away. I think it's very possible. I can't wait for the day where you say, Dave, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, you know? We have the ability and the desire, and we're unified to keep on mission, keep going, and we're not going to stop and fight when you leave. We're going to keep. We like this mission. We're going to go. See, the trick is when it comes to seeing a church turn around, when it comes to adding things, you have to add very slowly. My friend says it this way. It's a little off color, but not bad. He says, too many churches should on themselves. Yeah, this is what you should do. Well, we're a church. We have to do clothes. We have to do Awana. We have to do this ministry. We have to have a prayer breakfast. You should do it because you're a church. But then you open the Bible and go, what does it say I should, right? And sometimes we put things on ourselves that just don't exist. You know, the church that my family is going to now, they're 14 years old. They're in a furniture store that they had to renovate. They have to like beg the businesses around them to give them parking and sometimes get chewed out for the parking they use. Right now, they're 14 years old. They're 1,300 people, and they do groups, and they do seasons of groups and things like that, but they still don't have very many ministries beyond worship and small groups. Now, they'll take opportunity. Now, hear me say that. What you don't do weekly, if we have an opportunity to stop and do something awesome for kids, we'll do it. If we can stop and bless the community and go clean up and do it, we'll do it for a day. And we'll stay involved in missions and stay involved in those things. But you do it opportunistically instead of systematically because you keep your resource focused on the most important until you can carry that weight. So I'm speaking pretty candidly, so there's no surprise about who I am and where my bends are. Now, whether or not, you know, you allow the privilege of leading you there, I mean, I realize that could take time. I realize there could be conversations. You know, some of you may need to eat lunch with me or breakfast one day or a phone call and say, Dave, now I need you to unpack that because that's a tough one for me to swallow. And man, let's talk and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of is how God created the human body. Do you know that when someone's out in the cold and they're starting to hit hypothermia, all the blood goes to the major organs, right? To conserve the energy for the most important parts, right? I mean, so it is. And, you know, we got some really good people here that love to serve, but you get doing too much, you can get service exhaustion, you know, and then nobody's benefiting. So I just really like that perspective you have.
I'm used to the interim pastor as just giving sermons, but of course, as a revitalization interim pastor, my question is, are you going to be just more than that, right? You're going to be, your role will be, because I don't know much about revitalization, that you will be involved in the church more.
And then I'll finish it up so you can eat it. Okay. SBTC has a revitalization process. I'm going to ask Dr. Priest if I can massage that some. He'll probably gulp a little because I'm new to the SBTC, but there are things I see that are clear, easy wins for this church to jump on board that they're not really against anything, but I don't think they're considered in the SBTC revitalization process. I may ask for a little bit more latitude on the sermons with him, but when it comes to accessibility, probably what I'm going to do is give you the bulk of my time on Sundays, and then I'll be available by phone and a Zoom call to leadership or key teams. If kids ministries meet with the team, as we, kind of would tweak that and go. I'll meet with teams by Zoom and give them more. And what Zoom is a digital face-to-face phone call, for those of you who aren't familiar. And then I would say if it matters to the church, I may come out during the week on occasion for leadership things if we need it. One of the things I would love to do is throw a party early on. I'd invite my family, come. We all invite people. You ask, how do we get people inviting? Here's the thing. You invite people new to everything you do. You're inclusive. So if we throw a party even to talk about revitalizing the church, invite somebody new to come along with you, Just say, hey, we're revitalizing this thing. Come help me. Come help me do it. And so, we're going to limit this, the idea of insiders at this point, right? And so, but time-wise, I would say if I can, I'll probably work through your elder team when it comes through care. Obviously, if there's something critical, I'll be here. I'll be more than just a speaker, but I do live an hour away. And so I'll have to be intentional about when I come and why I come up. It won't be at every beck and call, but I can tell you this. I'm more than happy, and thankfully I serve at the denomination who's here to serve churches, our churches. And so being available and accessible to you won't be difficult at all. But I would say most of my FaceTime will occur on Sundays, even after church. What I'm thinking is maybe one Sunday, I'll call it, till the cows come home, whatever it takes Sunday. If I got to stay till 9 and have individual meetings or talk or hear people out, if they're saying, hey, Dave, I need to talk about this, maybe one Sunday a month I'll just say, that's Sunday. If I get home at midnight, then I get home at midnight. I don't care. And then maybe 2 Sundays, we'll call them middle, like where I'll do a lunch with somebody and then maybe a team meeting or meet after for just an hour or two. And then one Sunday I may ask, hey, can I go home and make sure I stay married if my family's not with me or that kind of thing. So.
But also with that, in our meeting yesterday with them, there will be weekly meetings with the leadership teams and the staff.
Oh, yeah. I would do things that, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they've really been done here in quite some time, even with your full time, in terms of staff investment, in terms of church planning, in terms of clear communication, all those kind of things. Now, I have a full-time job, so it may not be everything I do if I was here full-time, but from what I heard, I feel strongly that I can improve upon what has been happening. So let's just say it that way.
Anybody want to make a motion that we dismiss? Anybody want to second it? I second it. Ready to go to lunch?
Yeah.
Hey, one last thing. And then what if I just close out in prayer? One of the things, I'm going to throw this out so they don't, and I might, forgive me if I'm being a little bit ahead, but one thing I'd like you to pray and think about, to me it's not, again, I'm here to serve you, it's not a deal breaker, but it's not even, sometimes when you get in this position, you think in terms of he wants power, he wants say. Listen, I can't set my salary, that comes from you guys. I can't even take the job full time. I'd lose my job just even talking about it. So I have no leverage, just so when I say this. If I were to be considered full-time pastor here, I would literally have to quit the interim, and put them on notice. That's their protocol. So just so you know how little leverage I have when it comes to what is he going to do with us, and is he going to take no, not going to happen. So and even if all that didn't exist, I'm not that guy. All right, I'm the guy who signs $1 million leases on my own watch and misses paycheck so the church can move forward, not the opposite. And it sounds to me like you haven't had that in a while. So I would ask you to prayerfully consider, for clarity's sake, whether it's the elders, maybe it's a specially picked group of people, if you were to consider me as interim, for clarity's sake on who I work with and answer on the most important decisions, that maybe you, for an interim season, you make an addition to the bylaw for interim, or even if it's just for my interim, that there's a group that I work with and answer to, and if that group agrees, with what we're going to do, then I have the permission to wisely lead us to do something, right? Not to steamroll everybody, but to wisely make some changes, ask for some weight, and we, instead of making it a whole church vote, and who's on there? I don't know I have no special ends with anybody, so I'm not conniving for anything, just to be really clear. I'm just saying what I would like is clear communication, that the church knows that, hey, we're setting apart these people. If Dave works with these people and these people are in total unanimous agreement and there's no division, then hey, he has the ability to lead us that way, and we don't have to take a whole church vote to do it. So yes, if you don't do it, it's not going to kill me, but I think it would benefit you more if you did it. So
yeah, what you're talking about is kind of like what we did in the early search team before on a different thing. The church nominated people from the church. There were several people nominated. Then they would go around and ask those people if they'd be interested in serving, and the people that were, then they would come to a vote. So this way you can catch, instead of just a handful of people that's already in a position, it could be somebody in the back row here, or somebody that's been coming, or somebody wants to say so or would like to help out, and it just wouldn't be a captive few that that's.
Yeah, I know you're hungry, but this is super important. This part is super important.
So what he's talking about is having an accountability team that he bounces ideas off of. Right. So
and carries a little
for
bit
example,
of weight.
let's say he's looking at the budget and says, Josh is making way too much. We need to cut that back for financial. So instead of going to the church for a vote, he would go to this team and say, are you all in agreement that this can happen? And they say yes, and the decision is made. That way he has some freedom to move things the way he sees fit. That's what he's talking about.
Can we cut Josh?
Well, and here's the thing too. And hey, by the way, I don't want a single staff person. You have some great people, and there are great people here. I could tell. I think God can use you all way more than what you think. Here's my promise to you. I'm not saying you'll never hear a new idea from the pulpit, but look, I'm not stupid. If the accountability team says, man, yes, we should do that, I'm not going to go announce to the church on Sunday morning, oh, Awana stops next. No. What we're going to do is we're going to go work with all the people who care, and we're going to have clear communication, early communication, answer questions, figure out ways, maybe how I'm coming at it isn't practical. Maybe, try to mesh it with the people who actually do the work and say, well, then how can we make this work, right? And then by the time we get up here to do it, there's going to be 60 people going, amen, or hey, there's a little uncomfortable, but man, we're ready to take the faith step, and we're not uninformed. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be smart leaders with what that happens. So anyway.
People involved are going to be in the know before it's just spoken.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying I'll never make a mistake and do that by accident or something, or throw out an idea, but 99 times out of 100, we're going to do it the right way, and we're going to put people in the know. And generally speaking, people don't fight about what they know is happening and what's clear and what they've been included in, right? I mean, it's just general rule of life. When we're surprised, we put up our dukes. That's how that works. So, yeah, God, would you bless the food? Because I want to save them the extra minutes of even blessing the food since I've taken too long. Lord, we do pray that you would use the Lakes Church in ways that are more than we could ask or imagine. Lord, Ephesians 3:20 is popping to head right now, popping to mind. God, would you turn this campus upside down, teeming with life, Lord, with a grateful group of 60 people here who are willing to go all in and see you do your best. God, would you bless their families? Would you bless their work? Lord, would you bless each day their relationships? And would you bless the work of ministry? We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.